Do you know the interesting reason that solidified the beef between CaitlinClark and Cheryl Reeve? One is the best player the WNBA has ever seen, while the other is arguably its best coach. If you think this feud started out of nowhere, you might want to think again. There's a whole story behind this rift that you won't want to miss. But before we break into this saga, you should know something about Cheryl Reeve. She has a reputation for arrogance. She believes she's the only one who truly matters and that her team is the only one deserving of praise. This isn't just confidence, it's something that can backfire. And here's the perfect example of that. Before the July 14th WNBA matchup between Indiana and Minnesota, Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve was asked about the possibility of a pro-Fever crowd at their Minnesota stadium, rallying behind rising star CaitlinClark. Her response was blunt: "I don't give two shits." The topic of Clark entering the league sparked a lot of debate, with mixed reactions from former and current players, and now coaches. However, Reeve's thoughts on Clark go back to before the WNBA season even began. What may now seem like a strained relationship wasn't always the case. Reeve, who serves as both the director of basketball operations and head coach for the Lynx, appeared on Fox 9 Minneapolis-St. Paul alongside her partner Carly Knox, the director of business operations. The two executives joined host Dawn Mitchell on Unscripted for an interview where they discussed all things basketball. It didn't take long for the conversation to turn to CaitlinClark. When Mitchell brought up the women's NCAA national game between South Carolina and Iowa that took place in April, the discussion quickly shifted to Clark's impact on the rising popularity of women's basketball. "We are so excited for CaitlinClark to come into the WNBA," Knox said. The famous coach went on to express her mixed emotions about Clark joining the league, but clarified that her reaction came from a competitive standpoint. "I'm really happy for the business side, but we have to guard her," Reeve said, prompting laughter from the group. Mitchell then asked about the possibility of Clark suiting up for Reeve, who also serves as the head coach for the U.S. women's Olympic roster for the upcoming Paris Games. Reeve replied, "That's well above my pay grade, but yeah, absolutely. She's an incredible talent." Caitlin's favorite WNBA team growing up was the Minnesota Lynx, Knox added, to which Reeve responded, "That's pretty cool." Knox continued, "We all recognize how important players like Caitlin are for the growth of the game. We were all happy to see her success." 10 minutes later, with the topic of Clark in the rearview mirror, Mitchell circled back to the national team, prompting Reeve to discuss her goals for building a high-level, competitive squad. "Individual talent is great, but how do we become the best team we can be?" Reeve said. "Other countries spend a lot of time together, teams with both chemistry and talent. That's going to be tough for us." However, just a few weeks later on May 3rd, Cheryl Reeve took to X to promote an upcoming Lynx preseason game. At the same time, she subtly voiced her displeasure, not with Clark specifically, but with the league's coverage. In her tweet, she pointed out the lack of broadcasting availability for games that don't feature star rookies, using hashtags like #TAOR12teams and the Wismore, the non-player. Christine Brennan of USA Today shared screenshots of an exchange on X where one user asked, "Is there a reason why it's not being shown?" Another replied, "Because they only care about Caitlin." Reeve chimed in with, "That part." This interaction fueled speculation that Reeve may have played a role in CaitlinClark's exclusion from the Olympic roster, when it was later announced that Clark didn't make the cut, sparking criticism and questions about Reeve's involvement. Brennan reported on June 13th that her USA Today colleague, Michael Terry, attempted to get comments from Reeve and USA Basketball, but neither offered any clarification. Terry also noted that Reeve does not have an official role in picking the 12. Despite the controversy, Clark had the last laugh when her Fever defeated the West-leading Lynx, or 81-74, with both Clark and Aaliyah Boston scoring 17 points each. As Sunday's matchup approaches, Clark and the Fever have climbed to third in the Eastern Conference with a 10-14 record, while Reeve's Lynx are tied with the Las Vegas Aces for first in the West, boasting a 16-7 record. Clark may have been taken lightly by Reeve initially, but with each game, she's proven herself more and more. Whether it's her ball handling, passing, or shooting, Clark has shown significant improvement in every aspect since her debut. Now, at just 22 years old, she's added another achievement to her growing list. Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve's recent comments about Fever fans only fueled the fire for Clark and her team. Facing off against the fourth-seeded Lynx, Indiana shocked the crowd with a masterful fourth-quarter performance. And the fans? They're loving this side of CaitlinClark getting her revenge. In fact, they've even flooded her recent X post with support. Then, after the game on the court, the real action began on social media. And here is the reason for that. Cheryl Reeve shared a heartwarming tweet about the Black Girls Rock t-shirt she wore during the game against Indiana. Responding to the Beverly Bond organization, which she supports, Reeve wrote, "Happy to support. For all who asked, you too can buy the shirt I wore in support of a Beverly Bonds nonprofit organization, which is at the forefront of advocating for the visibility and empowerment of Black women across various fields, from entertainment to corporate leadership." However, Indiana Fever fans didn't take kindly to Reeve's choice of attire, likely because of her pre-game comments about them. It seems the strong support for Indiana has followed them even on the road, completely taking over Minneapolis. On the match day, the majority of the 810-978 fans at the Target Center were decked out in red, cheering for the visiting Indiana Fever. In her post-game press conference, Reeve acknowledged CaitlinClark's impact, stating, "Everybody knows that the reason why our teams around the league are having sellouts is because CaitlinClark and the Indiana Fever are coming to town." Despite acknowledging the rookie's ability to draw a crowd, the fans couldn't resist trolling the head coach. The Indiana Fever, clearly growing more comfortable in the league as a young team, have been impressive in their last 7 games. CaitlinClark and her teammates have secured victories over the Phoenix Mercury twice, the New York Liberty, and the Minnesota Lynx, all teams with winning records. With that latest win, fans were thrilled not only for their favorite WNBA team, but also because the victory came on the heels of Reeve's comments about the fans and Clark's Olympic snub. Especially notable was the support at the Minnesota Lynx's home court, where the crowd was overwhelmingly in favor of the Fever. Reflecting this sentiment, one fan brought Taylor Swift's song, "Karma," into the conversation, and the delight in their comment was unmistakable. One follower couldn't resist rubbing it in, posting, "CaitlinClark beat Europe E. The karma was beautiful. You can go ahead and block me now." Another fan suggested that Cheryl Reeve show CaitlinClark some love, hinting at the belief that Reeve might have had a hand in Clark's Team USA snub. Early in the 2024 WNBA season, Reeve had criticized the league for focusing too much on CaitlinClark's Fever, saying that other teams deserved more broadcasting attention. "Stop hating on CaitlinClark," one fan commented, clearly stirring the pot. Another fan highlighted Indiana's victory, praising the team's resilience. Despite a slow third quarter, the Fever came back strong in the final period to secure the win against Minnesota. "Fever won," the fan posted. CaitlinClark's supporters showed no signs of letting up. One final comment urged Reeve to hold that L, suggesting that the head coach will continue to face the backlash from Fever fans for some time. Many clips from the game went viral right after the game, especially those featuring CaitlinClark taking shots and the crowd going wild. The footage of the Fever's victory over the Lynx, with the Target Center erupting in cheers for Indiana, also made the rounds. One WNBA fan who wasn't at the arena commented that it sounded like a home game for the visitors and suggested that Reeve should thank Clark for the sold-out crowd. Reeve did acknowledge the young team's impact, giving them their due praise. The fan noted, "Sounded on TV like it was a home game for Indiana. By the way, you can thank CC anytime for the sellout." Now let us know your views in the comments below about Cheryl Reeve and her jealousy with Clark. Remember to subscribe for the latest update on Clark and her success story in the WNBA. See you in the next video.